Hello everyone, welcome to today's lesson in English language, and in this lesson we'll be looking at the tenses as it relates to modal auxiliaries. The tenses in relation to modal auxiliaries. Remember, in our previous lesson we looked at modal auxiliaries, and we said that in English language modal auxiliaries are special verbs that help that work in connection with the main verbs to show time, to show possibility, permission, ability, recommendation, advice, and the rest of them. Modal auxiliaries are special verbs in English that work with the main verbs. They work with the main verbs to express different ideas like possibility, ability, permission, and the rest of them. But today we are going to look at these modal auxiliaries in connection with tenses, and first we'll quickly look at what tenses are. In English language, tenses are verbs that tell us when something happened. They tell us when an event occurred, whether it happened in the past or is in the present or is in the future. It tells us when something happened, whether past, present, or future. Now in English language there are three main tenses, and they are present tense, past tense, and future tense. We have three main tenses in English language, and they are present tense. And what is the present tense? When something is happening now, it's in the present. Okay, present tense is when the thing is happening now. Then you have past tense. Past tense refers to the things that have already happened, or something that has already happened. It's in the past, it has passed. And then the future tense shows things that will happen. They refer to what is yet to happen, something that will happen later. Okay, so the present one refers to what is happening now. The past refers to what has already happened. And the future refers to what will happen later. What will happen later. Okay? Please remember that your verbs are action words. Okay? But then we have some that are the main verbs and the ones that we call the auxiliary or helping verbs, like is a helping verb. Okay? Are is a helping verb. Can, could, would, they are all auxiliaries. They are not main verbs. So having looked at modal auxiliaries in the past lesson, we are not looking at how they are used in connection with tenses to show the timing of events and to also show possibility, whether it's in the present, in the past, or future, to show ability, whether in the present, past, or future. So the present tense, past tense, and future tense simply like showing the time that events occurred. So let's look at some examples. Remember, we said that the present tense shows or expresses something that is happening now, the past something that has happened already, and the future something that will happen later. So here are some examples. I can run fast. I can run fast. Now there is an auxiliary verb here, can, and it suggests ability, which is part of what we looked at last week. But in this case, we are looking at how it suggests the time of events, the time of the happening or the occurrence of the event to run, and it indicates something that is in the present. I can run is in the present. It's an ability, but also it shows that this speaker can do it even at the present. I can run fast. But then you have a second one. It says, I could run fast. I could run fast. This can here, even though it indicates ability and even could indicates ability, but they both express these events in different times. For can, it is for the present, while could expresses it in the past. I could run fast. That means this speaker was able to run fast in the past, but right now cannot run fast anymore. So this indicates something that happened in the past. I could run fast. I could run fast is in the past. I can run fast indicates the present, and both of them are modal auxiliaries. Then there is a third example here. It says, I will run fast. I will run fast. You see the underlined word here? Will is also a modal auxiliary. And it indicates something that will happen in the future. Will shows something that will happen later. It hasn't happened, it will happen later. It is not happening right now, it will happen later. So future is the one that will happen later. I can run fast is present. I could run fast is the past, and I will run fast indicates future, that is, it will happen. So another set of examples we're going to look at is I will go to school tomorrow. Here again we see will. I can do the work. I could do the work. I will go to school tomorrow. This shows something that is going to happen later. An event that will happen later. I will go to school tomorrow. So this indicates future tense. So this is future. The next one says I can do the work. It shows ability, but at the same time it shows something that can be in the present. And the last one says I could do the work. It refers to something in the past. I will go to school tomorrow. It hasn't happened, it will happen later. I can do the work indicates ability, but at the same time it shows something that can happen in the present. And then I could do the work. It shows something that happened in the past. Now remember, there are other modal auxiliaries like you have would, shall, should. A word like shall. Okay, we'll take a look at them briefly and see how they function. Okay, but for your grade level, introducing you to would and should will be a little high up. So I'm just trying to stick with the little ones that are okay for this level. But we'll briefly just take a look at the would, shall, and should, and then see how they also connect with events and the time they happened. So we look at shall, because this is another modal verb that has connection with tenses. Okay, it normally refers to something or events that will happen in the future. It talks about something that will happen later. So shall is a modal auxiliary that often refers to events that will happen in the future. So examples here are I shall see you there. I shall see you there. Now let me just put it here that all of these are events in the future. Okay, let me put it here, future. These are all events in the future. I shall see you there. We shall organize the place. I shall visit my friend tomorrow. And shall we meet there? Now let me say something about shall. Most of the time, shall is used for the first person. When you say first person, it refers to whether the speaker is referring to himself or themselves, or the person being spoken to. And then the third person, speaker is the first person. The person the speaker is talking to is the second person. And then a person that is not there, somebody that is not there that is being talked about is the third person. So when we talk about shall, when we use shall, most of the time it is used to express first person in English language. Okay, so apart from the other uses that shall has, when we're considering it in terms of reference to the future events, it normally is used for the first person. So if you can see from these examples we gave, I shall see you there, I am the speaker. We shall see you there, we are also there, the speakers. I shall visit my friend tomorrow, and shall we meet there. So most of the time when it's used to refer to future happenings or events that will happen later, it's always used in the first person position. So that is for shall. So let's take a look at the next one. So the next example we're looking at here is would. Would is also a modal auxiliary, and it also plays roles in expressing events, the time of events. So here we are going to look at the two different ways that would expresses the time events occur. First, it shows events that are like habitual actions in the past, like things that were happening like a habit. They were like routines in the past, things that were constantly done in the past, habitual actions in the past. They are often indicated by the use of a would. And then would also is used to show future in the past. What does that mean? It sounds funny. Future in the past. Yes, it is used to refer to something in the future, but looking at it from the perspective of the past. It's something when you are referring to something in the future, but it has a link with the past. Okay, so would is also used there. Please take note. Would is an auxiliary verb, and it's also used to show the timing of events or when events happened. So for the first one here is habitual, when it shows habitual actions in the past, things that were done as a habit in the past, not something done once, but something that were carried out like a routine in the past. And also it's used to show events that are a kind of in the future, but they have bearing with the past. They are future events, but then they have a link with the past. That's the one we refer to here as future in the past. So let's see the first example, the one for habitual actions in the past. The first example here says, as a child, I would play with toys always. As a child, I would play with toys always. That means when I was a child, I was always playing with toys. I would play with toys always. So this is the would here. We're underlining it. Then number 2 says, back in the day, she would sing loudly. In those days, she would sing loudly. Here again, we see would. It shows something that was a habit, a kind of habitual action in the past. That was something she was doing. She was always singing loudly. And then the third example here says, every Sunday morning, we would go to church. Every Sunday morning, we would, I'm underlining the would again, we would go to church. That means in the past, it was a habit for us. It was a routine that every Sunday morning we would go to church. Every Sunday morning we went to church. It's not a one-time thing. It's something that was a habit, something that was, continuously done, something that was done repeatedly like that in the past. So when you are saying those, you use the word would. Okay, so would is a modal auxiliary, but it also expresses tense or the timing of the occurrence of events or when events happened. It's a modal auxiliary, but it also shows when events happen. So these are some examples of using would to express or show actions that happened in the past, repeatedly. So the last part that we're going to look at is the use of would to show future in the past. We're going to look at some examples of that. How you use would to express something that is going to happen in the future, but it has a link with the past. It has something connecting it to the past. So here are some examples. The first one here says, they promised they would do it tomorrow. Now this is something that will be done in the future, but a promise was made in the past. A promise was made in the past, but the job or whatever it is would be done in the future. So they promised they would do it tomorrow. The second example says, my sister told me that she would call later. My sister told me that she would call later. Here again, the call is something that is in the future. The call is going to happen in the future, but the promise was made in the past. Okay? My sister told me that she would call later. And the last example here says, Jane said she would come to my house. Now, Jane is yet to come still. Okay, Jane's visit to the house is still in the future, but Jane has already made a promise in the past. She said, that's in the past, that she would come to my house, but that is yet to happen. So you see here how would is used to show events in the future, but that are connected to the past. They are linked with the past. That's why we refer to it here as future in the past. Okay, we used to show events in the future, but that have connection with the past, and we considered these 3 examples. Okay, so please, this is not something you just watch once or listen to once and it's fine. No, a lot of practice needs to go into this. Okay, really wish we would have more opportunity or the platform to do exercises. We'll try, we'll see what we can do on our WhatsApp page with this. Okay, so please, let's quickly do a recap of what we learned today. We looked at tenses, and we said that tenses are verbs in English that help to tell when something happened, whether it's in the past, in the present, or in the future. Okay, but here we're looking at tenses, in connection with modal auxiliaries. Remember, we did modal auxiliaries in our previous lesson. So here we are just trying to tie the two together, modal auxiliaries and tenses. So there are some modal auxiliaries that actually, even though they're used in connection with main verbs to express different ideas, like permission, possibility, and the rest, they are also used to express when events happen, whether they happen in the past, in the present, or in the future. So some of the modal auxiliaries we consider that can, for instance, can expresses ability, but then also shows event in the present. We looked at could. Could shows ability, but then it shows such thing in the past. It expresses such ability in the past. And then we also looked at shall. We looked at shall, it expresses future. We looked at will, also is for the future, future events. Then we looked at would. Would expresses habitual events in the past, and also it expresses future events that are connected to the past. Okay, so please, I'll just advise that you take time to go over this video again and again, okay, until you can properly place them where they belong and actually use them. Really, it's not just about knowing them, it's actually about using them. And language is best learned when you practice with them. When you are playing, try to use all these words, okay? When you are expressing anything or talking with anyone, try to use what you are learning. That way they will stick, okay? They stick better that way. So I hope to see you again next week. I hope you've learned something. If you find this video helpful, please help to share and also spread the word out there. If there's any question, any comment, please, you can use the comment section below. Just drop whatever question or queries you have, anything. You can just drop it, okay? We'll see to it, and we'll see you again next week. Stay blessed and stay safe.